Looks like the shooter's social media profile has been found. So let's see what liberal hive mind has to say about it.
Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. This is a crisis. America is now facing a crisis. And actually, I think it's more than one crisis. I think it's two crises. First off, what's most obvious is a crisis of left-wing domestic terrorism and violence. And secondly, is a crisis of truth. For years, the left and their media allies have bent over backwards to frame political violence as anything but left-wing. They've skewed the data, used prison violence to make it seem as if there's this epidemic of MAGA violence. They blame conservatives. They take random acts of indiscriminate violence that are committed by ideological racists and then claim that those are right-wing attacks, of course, because to them, racism equals right-wing. They blame conservatives, they invent connections, they twist narratives, anything to avoid admitting what is right in front of us, what is right in front of our eyes. But as I've been saying over the last 2 weeks especially, but really over the last 6 years that I've been doing this work, the facts are piling up, and it's becoming undeniable. We are living through a wave of left-wing radicalism, a culture.
All you have to have is 2 eyes and a brain, and you can see exactly what's going on.
Undeniable. We are living through a wave of left-wing radicalism, a culture of chaos and violence being normalized in broad daylight. And of course, we already spoke about this shooting, the fact that his bullets were engraved with anti-ICE messaging. And well, now, just like in the Tyler Robinson case, we have his social media profile, which tells us everything that we need to know. Yet again, another left-wing communist revolutionary. This shooter, again, identified as a young radical leftist who's clearly gone through the left-wing radicalization pipeline and now committed yet again another heinous act of violence. Let me show you guys exactly what was found. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so we got a social media bombshell here. We found the shooter's social media account, and there it is. The mask is absolutely off at this point. His profile picture shows it all. A communist avatar, hammer and sickle in the background, rifle in hand, grin on his face. Obviously, what you're seeing here isn't subtle, it's not ambiguous. I know the media is going to probably scramble for the next couple of weeks. Oh, well, we don't know the actual motive. We cannot connect him to any particular left-wing organization, and clearly can't connect him to the Democrat Party, no.
Well, they're saying that already. They're doing their very best to connect this guy to right-wing activity.
Left-wing organization, and clearly can't connect him to the Democrat Party. No, of course not. But nothing here is ambiguous. This kid was yet again another self-identified revolutionary, a leftist foot soldier, taking up arms for the cause of the modern left. The media can attempt to spin this away in any way that they want, but there is no more confusion here. He didn't just stumble into violence accidentally. He was motivated by ideology. He chose it. He was listening what was going on. He fell for the Democrat rhetoric that ICE is Gestapo, yada yada.
This is not Germany. That's the SS and the Gestapo. This is the United States of America.
And the Democrats will say that that the Republicans should be the ones turning down the temperature. They're still saying this. They're still chanting it. Look, just after Charlie Kirk was murdered, the Democrat Party was displaying incendiary pins at a county fair. These guys are not going to change.
The SS and the Gestapo. This is the United States of America. Unmask yourselves.
He fell into the radicalization pipeline, the Hassan Piker wannabe communist revolutionary type culture where they justify violence, they call for blood, they demonize and dehumanize conservatives, they claim that everything that Donald Trump does is fascism, and he acted. And now we're starting to really paint a profile here, paint a picture of who this kid was and where he came from. Remember when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, the left scrambled to suggest the shooter was right-wing, and they went even as far to pull a random voter registration of another person, a completely different person named Tyler Robinson, who voted for Trump, and they claimed, look, he voted for Donald Trump. I'm laughing because it's so...
These guys just lie. They lie, they can't help themselves. And when they're found out, they make it seem like they're offended that they were caught.
Who voted for Trump, and they claimed, look, he voted for Donald Trump. I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous, but I shouldn't be laughing because it's frankly disgusting. But that was their big claim, right? That's the game they played. Well, you know what? In this case, let's play the exact same game as them. We actually now have proof that this kid was a registered voter and voted in the 2020 Democrat primary. As you can see right over here, he is, without a shadow of a doubt, a product of the Democrat left.
Yep.
And like I said earlier, he fits perfectly in the mold of the Hassan Piker style online leftist culture, these angry, radical, revolutionary types who have convinced themselves that violence is justified, who love it when Destiny, Hassan, and these other characters signal for blood and demonize the right as open targets. Well, clearly he took that to heart, and this is the result. And also, I don't really want to go too deep into this, but remember how the left was pointing at Tyler Robinson's family, right, as being MAGA, and that proved that Tyler Robinson must have been MAGA. Well, obviously that didn't pan out for them. But in this case, we're now learning about this guy's family, where he comes from, and the household that he comes from, mother and sisters. They've all been identified on social media. I'm not going to post any of their photos or any of their posts because...
And that's good. Like, this is wholesome behavior from people who are conservatives. You don't begin to smear family members. Look, if this was a left-wing commentator, I guarantee you that they'll be pulling up family connections and shaming the family and exposing everybody and using incendiary rhetoric. And do you know why? Because they know that there will be no consequence.
They've all been identified on social media. I'm not going to post any of their photos or any of their posts because, well, I just don't think that that's correct. But you'll probably see it all over social media. This entire family was rabidly anti-Trump. And so clearly a pattern is emerging here. This was a copycat killer. He was your typical wannabe revolutionary leftist. And outside of the pattern being identified with this particular individual, I think the larger conversation is more important than harping on these disgusting, evil people. Frankly, I don't even want to really say his name on purpose. I don't want to give him the infamy that he's clearly looking for. The focus needs to be less on the pattern of these individuals, their social media patterns, and identifying the extremist pipeline. No, I think we need to zoom out and focus on the pattern of left-wing violence as a whole. This is not an isolated story, and I think that statement really hits hard, considering it's not even isolated to this month or this year. I got this Benny Johnson tweet here that I think really puts it into perspective. In just the past few weeks, Charlie Kirk was assassinated by a leftist, ICE facilities in Dallas and Fort Worth were shot up, ABC station in Sacramento shot up by a DNC megadonor, a bomb was planted on a Fox News vehicle and bomb threat at RFK Jr.'s home. Thousands.
Are you watching the litany of assaults being carried out by leftist individuals? And they'll say, well, that the violence is coming predominantly from the right. So let's see how many right-wing, publicly known violent acts have we seen in the last few weeks to match this. At least if their rhetoric or their claims are true, we should have at least double right-wing attacks against left-wing personalities. Okay, but we don't. It's all on one side, and we know what side that is.
Thousands of leftists celebrated Kirk's death, massive Charlie Kirk memorial vandalized and destroyed in Arizona, students at Texas Tech and Texas State assaulted and threatened Kirk supporters, left-wing George Zinn falsely claimed to be Kirk's shooter and attempted to help. He became an accomplice to the assassin, helping him escape. We saw a trans radical murder Catholic children at a church. Left-wing violence is out of control and it will get worse and won't stop until it's taken seriously. Enough is enough. I couldn't have said it better myself. In fact, I just feel like that's basically what I've been saying, not just for the past couple of weeks, but especially for the past couple of weeks, but really for the past couple of years, that clearly there's a problem here. Clearly, we're seeing a massive spike in left-wing violence. One case, you could wave it away. 2 cases, call it a coincidence. But this is obviously a movement. This is the grassroots movement of the left. This is the culture that they have cultivated, this organized radicalism, this hyperbole and extreme rhetoric that is now spilling into blood and terror.
And the Democrat leadership approves of this. They approve of it. They won't decry it. They won't denounce it. And when they try to, have a pseudo denouncement of these things, they begin to talk about how bad the victim was and how deserving they were. They insinuate it so that it's okay for people to be violent against them. Or they begin to say how no one should say that this is coming from the left only, that it's both sides, that the right wing also engages in violence. That's what they do.
This hyperbole and extreme rhetoric that is now spilling into blood and terror. There is no more running from this. The left can run all they want, but you guys own this. You built this culture. You defended it. You celebrated it. You celebrated these young people that that were so active on the streets fighting Donald Trump's fascism. And you told those young people that MAGA is a threat, that Trump is a fascist, that conservatives are a danger, that ICE is Gestapo. And now look at what you've done. Your side is producing assassins, terrorist bombers, arsonists, and mobs. It's time to wake up. Notice what's happening. Put two and two together. Pay attention to the clear pattern that has identified itself. And of course, at this point, again, I keep saying undeniable. It's becoming undeniable. There's no way people aren't waking up by the thousands, hopefully by the hundreds of thousands, preferably by the millions. Hopefully, people are waking up and seeing the truth, watching the chaos, realizing that the real threat doesn't wear a red hat. You know, sure, there's Destiny's argument that this violence seems to happen when the red hats get into power.
I think that liberals need to wake up and finally realize that if they're not willing to do it, it will never come down. If you wanted Charlie Kirk to be alive, Donald Trump shouldn't have been president for the second term. Every time he's in office, this happens. People joked about when Biden came in, it was so boring, nothing was going on. 7 out of 10 of the largest protests in American history have happened under Donald Trump.
But that doesn't make their argument that it's Donald Trump's fault, that it's the...
So he's saying that the reason why we're bad is because we don't like you. That's essentially his argument. Do things that we like so that we won't be bad. And that's essentially a child throwing a tantrum in order to force the parent to do something that they want. That's exactly what he's describing.
In history have happened under Donald Trump.
But that doesn't make their argument that it's Donald Trump's fault, that it's the right's fault. That makes the argument that the left engages in violence when they don't get what they want. When the left loses in the democratic process, they don't accept that defeat. They view it as a threat to their power, to their agenda, and their reaction is extreme and violent. But anyways, once again, the shooter social media tells the whole story. Communism, left-wing violent culture, hatred, that is the culture that is being normalized on the online left. That is the future of the Democrat Party. Those are the people who are watching Hassan, watching Destiny, voting for AOC, excited about Zoran Mamdani coming into office. The Democrat Party can run all they want, but the connection is absolutely clear. This is what left-wing grassroots culture is producing. That's what I got. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Very, very true. Thank you, liberal hive mind. Look, we've been tracking all of this for months, and in recent times, it's just ramped up. We talked about it when the ICE raids in California were being attacked by activists. We talked about how eventually someone was going to get hurt. Today, this shooter killed several people. So I think enough is enough. And unless something drastic happens, this is going to continue. This is one copycat. And there are going to be others who are going to say, hey, I want my face to be on the network news too. And they're going to want to do the same thing. What do you think of this video and his review of the story? And what do you think of my reaction? Let me know in the comment section below. If you've watched this long, you're a super fan, consider subscribing, liking, and sharing the video. And please also consider sending us a super thank. It's a donation that you can do in the comment section. And if you would want to join our Crossroads family, we have a lot of perks in our membership. You can learn more by clicking the link in the description of this video or in the pinned comments. Until next time, God bless you, and I'll see you on the next one.